with Southend Bar City in Nottingham. Joined as ever by regular Ander. Good evening, Ander.
Hey, man. You're right.
So, no, you're not confused. It is Wednesday, not Thursday. We decided to do it on a Wednesday, the one-off, so don't be checking your calendars. So we'll jump straight into it, Ander. So, obviously, Joyce fought at the weekend. We just recorded an interview with Shane Watson, operations manager from S-Jam. I'll take your thoughts on it. So how did you think it went?
When you consider everything that's gone off recently for Joyce, it wasn't a bad performance, was it? No. He did what he had to do at the end of the day. Did he get it too much? Yeah. And they were clean shots as well, which is a little bit concerning. And I know the commentary team were saying, you know, they were concerned by it as well. But what you got to understand is he's been out for such a long while. He had that big wrist injury. So there's got to be some ring rust in there. My only concern is when he did get hit by the shot, it was the same shot I get hit by every time. So ring rust is one thing, but to have the same shot land on you multiple times in a round, you'd think he'd make the adjustment to stop that shot from landing again. That's my only concern. You can't doubt his chin. You can't doubt his durability. At the end of the day, he wore hammer down, didn't he? You know, I mean, I was game, mate. You know, he came in throwing some massive bombs, and other heavyweights, if he'd have landed them shots, probably would have gone down. But Joyce is like iron. I mean, if I was a top heavyweight looking at that, I'd be in two minds. I'd be concerned that Joyce was walking through them shots and they didn't even phase him. He didn't even blink. But then I'd be thinking, well, he's quite easy to hit. He will be a different fighter, I would expect, in September. Now he's blew the cobwebs away a little bit. I would expect to see a different Joyce and a better level of opponent. I mean, not meaning to give too much away, but Shane's kind of pointed at that. That interview we've got with Shane, by the way, will be dropping Friday, will it?
Friday, yeah.
So yeah, all in all, mate, I don't want to jump on Joe too much because, like I say, everything, you know, taking everything into account, it wasn't a bad performance, really. How did you see it?
Yeah, so a little bit similar. I mean, he's been out of the ring for a year, like we said. He's had a wrist injury, which has prevented him from sparring or training for a significant amount of time. Yes, that overhand right was a concern, but I'm of the believing that it's going to get better as that ring rust disappears. I don't think he fights anything like that against an elite fighter. As a Wilder or anything. So the argument that if he's in the ring with Wilder and that lands, he's in trouble because I don't believe he would let it land. What a chin he's got. Yeah. What a chin. Because some of them shots hit him flush and he just carried on ploughing forward. But like Shane alluded to, you don't want to keep taking them shots because they're not good for the career. They're not good for longevity and his health. So sure, his trainer Salas will be working on that with him. Sure, they'll review it, and I just think he'll get better. So I think it was ticking the box for getting out. He won the fight, came for a bit of adversity, or was it adversity? Because he never looked rocked to me. No, and he wore him down and got him out of there quicker than some other heavyweights have. So I think he's a tick in the box and they move on. So talking about moving on, where do you see him going next, Andy? They've obviously moved to the 24th of September. So who do you see that being? Because Shane was very coy, wasn't he? You know, again, check the interview out when it lands Friday. But who do you think?
They're obviously talking. They're obviously in talks. Otherwise, Shane being Shane, we had him on the show before, and he's very straight. If they had an inkling that it was going to be one particular fighter, I think he would have said. So they're obviously talking to a number of people. I'll be very surprised if it's Joe Parker. I think that fight is done and dusted until maybe there's a world title on the line.
Yeah.
But it's got to be someone at world level, mate. It's got to be someone right up there. Because it's doing nothing for Joe Joyce fighting fighters that he just steamrolls because Christian Amber was blowing, wasn't it? After a couple of rounds, he put it all in. Don't get me wrong, and it must have been so disheartening as a fighter. You've landed a massive overhand right 5 times on somebody's chin, and it hasn't touched them. It's got to be so disheartening. He must have gone back to his corner then that first round and thought, "What am I in here with?" But you can't rely on that. Like I said to you, didn't I, on a WhatsApp? You can't rely on a chin and an engine when it's at world level. So for me, he's got to progress. He's got to fight someone better to show his better skills. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I don't know. Is the answer, mate? Who he's going to fight? I really don't know.
I think it's one of 3 people. I think it's either Robert Elenius, I think it's Otis Wallen, or maybe Michael Hunter, or the winner of Michael Hunter versus
Hughie Fury.
Hughie Fury, depending on when that's scheduled. So that they would be my guesses.
Well, that can't happen in September then, can it? Because the Hughie Fury.
Rule him out then. I'll go either Elenius or Wallen.
Elenius. Wallen didn't look great the last time he was out, mate.
It's a name, though, isn't it?
It's a name. Elenius is probably at a better level at the minute. I don't know. Could they tempt Dillian White?
Yeah, I think White coming off a loss will want a fight to get his confidence back, in my view, before he jumps in with Joyce, because I think Joe Joyce beats Dillian White.
It all depends for me. It all depends on how much Dillian White's got left. That Wembley fight is going to be so disheartening because he's waited such a long time for it. Evening, Joe. He's waited such a long time for it, mate. That could be a crippler for him now. I mean, basically, he's got to start all over again, hasn't he?
Yeah, don't get it twisted, though. Like I've said about Deontay Wilder, there's not many people that can make White look that bad, just as there's not many people who can make Wilder look that bad.
No. But even so, mate, that was his big shot. He'd been waiting 3 years for it. And for it to end the way it did for him, it's got to be disheartening. He's got to be thinking, have I really got it in me to do all that all over again?
Well, no wonder he was so keen to get Wilder into the ring, because he had a lot more chance of beating Wilder than he did Tyson Fury. Let's have it right.
Sean, how are you, mate?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Yeah, very good, mate. So we're just talking about the Joe Joyce fight from the weekend. Do you want to give us your opinion?
Yeah, I think he looked good up until a point, but you have to worry how much he gets hit. I think I don't think against the Wilder he ticks. I mean, I don't really see what the hype about him is, to be honest, because if he comes up against a big puncher or someone who can't walk through, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if you've caught what we said about it, but we've kind of fell a little bit on the fence and said, well, he's come off a massive time out of the ring. He's been hanging around. Fights haven't happened. He had that hand injury. Was it a little bit of a case of him blowing cobwebs away? I mean, I've just said to Shane Watson on an interview, maybe he felt that first overhand right that landed on his chin and it did nothing to him. Well, it didn't do anything to him, did it? He didn't even flinch. So maybe he's took that shot and gone, I ain't got to worry tonight. I ain't got to worry about what's coming at me because nothing's hurting me. I'll just plod on. I'll take my fight as it is. I'll wear him down like he did. Maybe that was his tactic once he got hit once. Maybe he thought, none of these shots are going to faze me.
I think people are harsh on Joe Joyce. I said this in the interview as well, that I think people underestimate Joe Joyce because of his boxing style. I think they penalise him for not having the most silkiest boxing style, but I think it's very effective, and I think it beats a lot of them top heavyweights.
Joe, I'd like to get your opinion in the sidebar, mate. Where do you think Joe Joyce goes next? Do you think he was just a bit of ring rust, or do you think he's, like Carl's just said, are you of the opinion that he's just not that good? Let's see what you got to say. I'd like your opinion, Sean, on the Tete Cunningham fight.
I mean, well, first of all, fair play for Cunningham for taking the fight. It was a risk. I mean, you have to wonder why he fight without it being an eliminator or something like that, where at least he has me riding on the fight. But, had he found his level in European level, Cunningham listened to, but, I don't think it was a big, if I'm being honest.
I think what's happened is they've seen Tete's last fight where he fell apart. Let's be honest, he fell apart, and they thought they're getting him at the right time, when clearly he must have just had a bad night on his his last outing. He must have just had a bad night, because he was sharp as a tack against Cunningham, and he was landing shots that weren't even big shots, and you could tell they were taking effect. So he's clearly a big puncher. He's clearly a heavy-handed fighter. And the skill level that he's got as well, Cunningham didn't stand a chance. He didn't stand a chance.
Let's be honest, it was a domestic European level fighter against a world level fighter. That's the truth of it. I think Cunningham's camp rolled the dice a little bit.
Yeah, because like I say, they thought they were getting Tete at the right time, didn't they?
Well, I'll probably think it's more to see whether Cunningham's world level or not, to be honest with you. And he's clearly not, because he got the knockdown was really heavy, wasn't it? So
yeah.
I think it tells you where Cunningham is. There's no coming back from that. Is not he'll make his money probably as a bit of a gatekeeper now, because he's European level. I think if he steps up to world/elite level, they all do that to him. I just don't think he's good.
To be fair, Carl, I watched a bit of a video of his team, and they were very open and honest, and said if he can't beat Tete, he's not world level.
Correct. That's correct. Do you want to pick Joe's comment up?
So Joe's talking about Joe Joyce. Joyce did what was expected. That chin will let him down at some point. I'm not sure I agree with that, Joe. But his engine is second to none. Throws a nice body shot. I'm not sure Joe Joyce's chin will let him down. I think his chin is outstanding. I go as far as to say he's got the best chin in boxing, certainly heavyweight boxing. Can he take shots like that from the real big heavyweights? No, of course he can't. But what he can do is take certain amount of shots from these heavyweights and still be in a position to throw his big shots himself. It'll be scary to some of these heavyweights that he's walked through all them shots in one go. Scary.
Yeah, Joe Gillon say Cunningham was out of his depth. Agree. He was.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to roll a dice, though, don't you, Carl? Because you're stuck between two levels, aren't you, as a fighter? I think Cunningham was at that point in his career, wasn't he, where he was stuck between European and world level, and they had to find out.
Yep.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, moving on to the next topic. Obviously, we've got a little bit of interest in this one from a local standpoint with Lee Wood. So, Andy, take it away.
So Mark Magsayo's putting his WBC featherweight title on the line against Ray Vargas. Cracking fight, this. Cracking fight. Vargas carries some serious power. He's got 22 knockouts in his 35 fights. A lot of people are saying Vargas wins this fight easily. If you look at Mark Magsayo's record, it's not outstanding.
You don't beat Gary Russell, but you don't beat Gary Russell Jr. easily, do you?
Yeah, but was it the top end Gary Russell Jr.?
Well, it is still a quality fighter for me. So I think that's a great result. Probably his best result, obviously, but I thought last time out, I thought that was a very good result.
Yeah. I'm not sure Russell Jr. had a lot left, if I'm being honest. This fight will be the teller for me about how good Magsayo is.
They're drawing parallels with Manny Pacquiao, aren't they already? Which is a bit premature.
Yeah, well, that's just ridiculous. Manny Pacquiao is one of the all-time greats. That's just ridiculous. We'll see, mate. You're going to find out, aren't you? But it's very interesting, obviously, because we're still waiting on what's happening with Lee Wood. We obviously Josh Warrington. The situation is he's still coming back from that. And create another way for Wood or Warrington. You might find him fighting the winner of this. Because it's clearly not happening at the minute with Santa Cruz. For whatever reason, he's shying off a little bit.
Well, the WBA needs to sort it out. It's a disgrace. I've tweeted it loads of times.
I know it is.
I mean, how long are they going to give this guy? I don't understand why Earn's not applying the pressure. We don't know he isn't, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Well, the thing is, they've given him 3.5 years now, mate, without even fighting. So when it comes to, so they're not going to rush to actually make him fight, are they? For whatever reason, and you're never going to find out, for whatever reason, the WBA love him as champion, clearly. Because if it had been any other weight, he'd have been stripped by now. Look at Josh Taylor. He's had 2 belts took off him in the last month because he's not defending them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Santa Cruz is allowed 3 years. It just makes no sense. It's an absolute.
I mean, this Ray Vargas. I'm looking through his resume. There's not many names on there, is there? I mean, he beat Gavin McDonald, so he must be world class. But I do wonder whether it could be a bit of a padded record there. Only time will tell.
We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out. It's getting a bit frustrating, though, isn't it? When from our point of view. From being Nottingham lads, it's getting a bit frustrating, and I know that Lee Wood's frustrated. He's starting to make himself very vocal about the whole situation. He's not that type of character either. He lets his team deal with stuff. He doesn't get into to and fro in arguments, but I think he's even getting pissed off with the whole situation.
I mean, I put my comments out on here, and I know the wife follows his channel, but I think I'll be getting my green card ready for New York or Las Vegas and telling the missus I'm off to Skegness, because that's where I see it going. I see it going to America.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Well, they're gonna topple it in Santa Cruz's favour any way they can. To be quite honest with you, mate, I don't think Santa Cruz can make the weight. I think he'll end up vacating. And then you never know. We could end up getting a UK fight, but whoever it needs to be against another champion now.
Yeah, my concern is the length of time Lee's been out the ring, though, because obviously he last fought in March. I know it doesn't sound long, and I know he's in camp, but even if the fight was announced tomorrow, how quickly are they going to get him back in the ring?
Well, it's going to be at least 2.5 months, isn't it?
Yeah, so that lends itself to me for a tune-up fight before jumping into a blockbuster. For me, that's the way I would play it. So maybe go over to America. I don't know, but
No. You don't want to be doing that now, though. At this stage, mate, he needs to be fighting. He needs to be fighting for world titles. That's the whole point. Why tune-up fights doing nothing for him, is it?
I'm just concerned about the amount of time since he's been under the lights. That's the only point I'd make, especially when you're going into a career-defining fight.
I don't think that worries him.
Which it will be. It might not worry him, but will it worry Ben Davison?
I don't know. What's your thoughts on? Sorry, Sean. What's your thoughts on? We went off on a bit of a tangent there. What's your thoughts on Magsayo against Vargas?
I have to say I don't know too much about Magsayo, but I've seen Ray a few times. I think it'd be, but with Lee Wood, I mean, a fight like his kid Galahad still at this, he could fight him in the interim or something like that.
He's got up,
right?
He shied off the Lee Wood fight, mate.
Or go straight into the Josh Warrington fight in, say, November. That would make sense, wouldn't it, really?
Well, the thing about Warrington is he fought very similar time to Lee Wood. I think it was only a matter of weeks later, wasn't it? So they've both been out similar amount of times. So that could be a distinct possibility, but it all comes down to what the WBA are doing, doesn't it? You know, but the Warrington fight, that does numbers. So it's got to be a very big arena because the football season's already back in full flow in terms of pre-season, isn't it? So they ain't going to get a stadium anyway. So it's going to have to be. I mean, are they going to drag to? I don't know whether we're northern or southern. I can never make my mind up. But let's go with northern. Are they going to drag two northern lads down to the O2? Used to do it with Froch.
Yeah, or maybe even Manchester. That's a similar size, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think
Manchester's a good shout.
You've also got what's the cricket Headingley, haven't you, at Leeds, which holds a fair few numbers, and the cricket season would have finished by then, wouldn't it? Trent Bridge in Nottingham could also, I suppose. I don't know.
So let me just pick these comments up. Joe said Wood needs to leave Hearn, in my opinion. Can't make cross-promotional fights. Has had lad hanging around. It's right, he can't make cross-promotional fights because it's rubbed every promoter in the world up the wrong way. Other promoters make cross-promotional fights easy. Eddie Hearn seems to really struggle. There's only Golden Boy Promotions that he hasn't completely alienated. And then he's also gone on to say there's no money in the Galahad fight. Wood earns his stripes, deserves a big payday. There's no money in the Galahad fight because Galahad's got about 3 fans. And they're his team. Anyway, moving on, Carl.
Yeah, you've upset the Sheffield lot there.
Oh, I don't care.
Now, this one's good if you struggling to get sleep.
Wow.
Don't tell me this does numbers either in the stadium or on TV because I won't wear it.
I mean, Chisora has a little bit of a following. Where's this been held, by the way? O2?
Yeah.
Is it? Chisora's got like a cult following, hasn't now? You know, there's people that love him because he always gives value for money. Does that mean he's at elite level? I mean, Eddie Hearn come out with some sort of a statement saying he still beats 99% of heavyweights. I don't know what Eddie Hearn's on at the minute. Some of the things he's coming out with are just absolutely ridiculous. This is the worst possible heavyweight fight to be made as a headlining for sure. I mean, last time Pulev was out, he was he fighting a retired MMA fighter.
He fought in a strange shaped ring as well.
Come on.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how this has been made as an headlining fight. These other fighters Chisora could have fought. It's not like Pulev's got a massive fan base and he's bringing loads of tickets with him, is it? I just don't understand it, mate. And the card's not that great either. I'll be quite honest with you.
I'd like to know what
I won't be. I won't be watching it. I might record it. And if there's a big knockout,
I'd like to know what numbers Del Boy does. I'm not convinced he's a big ticket seller either. Depends what he determines as big.
I think he does tickets. I think he does have fans. I think he's a very light fighter, into because he puts it all out in the ring. You know, you can't discredit him for that. Whether you think whether you think he's still at that level or not, Carl, he just put it all out in the ring. He does leave it all there.
He does, but he's often spent by third round of the fight hanging on to the rope.
I get where you're coming from, but people still can't put him away. I mean, Parker didn't do a very good job, did he?
What a terrible fight that was. I'm just. It must be a nightmare to match me, Derek Del Boy, at the minute. But he keep getting the big fights, so props to him, really.
Goes for the triangle ring, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not filling me with a lot of joy. I certainly won't be sitting there with my popcorn and beer watching this fight. I'll be recording it, and if I don't hear on the grapevine that it's been an absolutely barnstormer of a fight, I won't be watching it at all. Matthew?
Andy?
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts, Matt, on Del Boy versus Pulev 2?
Oh, can't wait, mate. Honestly, fight of the year.
I can see the excitement in your face.
It's one thing I will say is Chisora came out, was it this week or recently, and just sort of said like he is just fighting for money now. He is just
Been doing that for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but I don't. At least he doesn't mind. At least he's saying that now. Whereas before, we all know he's not relevant in the heavyweight mix now. He's not even. I wouldn't even class him as a gatekeeper anymore. Eddie Hearn keeps selling this one as, you know, this is going to be carnage and this, that, and the other, and he's relying on it being just, as you said, Andy, he's praying it's going to be a bit of a barn burner so that he can say, oh, what a fight, this, that, and the other. But hey, all right, darling. But it's but yeah, it's just not. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like you said, even the card isn't great, and at least I see Keen Najarko's getting out, who we last saw on the Lee Wood undercard. So at least somebody from that night's getting a fight. So
The only thing was, if this was a boxer card, I'd be hammering boxer for it. I'd be hammering him. You know.
Yeah, agreed. But it's levels. But you would expect better from a matchroom card. You wouldn't. Yeah. If this was a boxer card, you probably wouldn't be. You'd just be saying it's about par for the course. You wouldn't necessarily be saying it's a bad card. Come on, darling.
We'd also be hammering Frank Warren for it, wouldn't we?
Yep.
Be hammering Frank Warren for putting this on, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Go on then.
Tell you what, she talks more sense than Andy, Matt.
Yeah.
Cole, do you want to? I think that's enough of that. That's enough.
So moving on then to the next topic. Obviously, another person setting his weight division alive. Benn. So obviously, there's rumours around Eubank Jr. fighting. There's rumours around Liam Smith fighting him. So we'll come to Sean first because Andy's breaking up a little bit. Sean, A, who do you think it's going to be? And B, who wins?
I think it's going to be Conor Benn. I don't know if you've seen Conor Benn lately, but he's massive. I mean, he's probably about 150. So I think it's to the weight to fight Eubank. Who wins? I actually wouldn't Ben beats him really. As I said the other week, I don't think Eubank's really got the fire anymore. He's just looking for a big payday, and I can't see Eubank sort of world title or anything, but I just think he's looking to cash out now, really. And as I say, I think Conor Benn probably beats him on points.
So this is going to have to be a catch weight, isn't it? It's going to be around 157, 158 would be my guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
So, because I can't imagine Ben going up to 160, and Eubank's definitely not going down, is it? But it's interesting that you think Ben knocks Eubank out. So do you not think Liam Smith's in the running then, Sean?
No, I think I can get him a world title from what people are saying, which I think he deserves. So, yeah, from what Conor Benn's saying, Eddie Hearn's saying, I can't see it in a million years. Eddie Hearn said that. I think it's going to be.
I've seen the hashtags regarding legacy fight that Conor Benn's putting out. Do me a favour. You know, why is Benn? I mean, I'll come to Andy in a minute with his Conor Benn underpants on. Why is Benn not going for the top level of his division? What's going off?
Who's that to?
Have you
Sure.
seen as well that they're all of a sudden putting out the old men going back and forth when they signed their contract all those years ago? I think.
Yeah. Moving on to Matt. Matt, who do you think it's going to be? And who wins out of Eubank versus Liam Smith or Eubank Benn?
I'd rather see the Smith fight, but it sounds like it's going to be Conor Benn. I think it's ridiculous. I understand the clamour for it for obvious reasons. From a casual fan point of view, do you know what I mean? It draws a lot of attention. Sadly, it doesn't draw any attention for the fighters that they are now. It draws attention through family name. Which, I don't think. I think Benn has more to gain from it than Eubank does. I'm not sure what Conor Benn gains out of it if he wins.
Here's a question for you: is Conor Benn in danger of having his credibility questioned in the sport of boxing by taking circus fights like this?
Maybe, but he's obviously he's stepping up against somebody who is, much big. I can't answer it because I can't get my head around it really, because I don't know who stands apart from both of them both getting richer. I'm trying to figure out what Benn has more to gain from it, far more to gain. But
the angle I'm coming from is we're well used to Eubank Jr. talk about big names but never actually fighting them. Although Conor Benn's in danger of falling into the same trap.
Yeah.
Because he walks around saying, I'll fight anyone, I just want to tear up. And then he's jumping in with Eubank Jr. where he's got very little to gain apart from financial. So that's my concern for Conor Benn. Why, people keep talking about him being world class, this, that, and the other. Time to prove it, isn't it? And fighting Eubank Jr. is not going to prove it. Sorry, go on, Matt.
No, I was going to say, what do we think beating Eubank Jr. would give him?
Nothing. What do you think, Sean? And start with Sean. What do you think? Does it give him anything, Sean, apart from money?
That's about it.
Yeah. And let's Andy Abbey say then, bearing in mind what we got left now. He's got about 10 months to get a world title under. So, this one's not going to help him, is it? So what are your thoughts? Who is it?
My thoughts are very simple, mate. This does nothing to benefit either fighter. If this was going to give Conor Benn a world title shot, then it makes sense. If it's going to give Chris Eubank a world title shot, it makes sense. It does nothing for either of them. Eubank's, like I've already said last week, Eubank isn't interested in belts or legacy. He's only interested in money. And he's fighting. He's always calling out fighters that are weights below him. So that's Kell Brook, Liam Smith, and Conor Benn. He's called out within the last 4 months, and they're all 1 or 2 weights below him. It's just ridiculous. He goes on about being a warrior and wanting to uphold this Eubank legacy, toughness, but he won't fight anyone elite level in his own weight. And as far as Conor Benn's concerned, this is just a macho thing. Oh, I want to fight Eubank to probably for his dad's name. For he probably thinks he's doing his dad a favour or something. It's just a load of shit. You stuck up for Conor Benn in the past, and I do think he's capable. But this is doing nothing to help. It's doing nothing to help him. Why would you go up 2 weights? Put a load of muscle on. You're going to be fighting someone so much bigger than you. Yeah, okay. So people will go, "Well, he's showing." yeah, that's going to benefit because shed the muscle, which ask Kell Brook what that does for you. Shed the muscle to get back down to welterweight to then fight people. Well,
and I'm sure you're making
it's trying to lose the.
And I'm sure you're making a great point, but you're breaking up, fellas. So logging in and back in again. So just while Andy logs back in, we'll take the comment inside. So Joe says, Benn's a small welterweight. It's a bad decision if this happens with Eubank Jr. and Benn get stopped off both. Okay. So I'll give my thoughts. I just think let's just try and bring Andy in again. Andy, you'd have to give us that point. I'm sure the point was brilliant, so I don't mind hearing it again.
Am I back in the room now? Am I all right?
You are, yeah, you are. Make it quick before you break up again.
All I was saying is it does nothing, and Conor Benn's making a really big mistake going up 2 weights, putting loads of muscle on. Ask Kell Brook what that did to him at welterweight. What that did to him when he had to go back down to welterweight. Let's say he goes up right. And let's say he has a devastating performance against Eubank Jr. What's he going to do then? He's going to think, I can stay at this weight now. Or is he going to say, actually, I need to try and get back down to welterweight where I'm at my strongest. And if he does try that, it's going to take him a long time to lose that muscle, mate. And it will do nothing for him. This is a really, really, really big mistake.
The challenge for me with Benn is, I hate to say it, I'm bored of his career already. I'm bored of him until he jumps in with someone of note in his weight division. This fight does nothing for me. He's in danger of being in the same light as Eubank Jr., where he's making all the noises, wanting to fight the elite of his weight division and never gets nowhere near him. I think the kid's a good fighter. I don't know how good he is, but I think he's a good fighter. But he's still got a hell of a lot to prove. These sort of fights, I know Eubank won't be around them, but these sort of fights should be after you've done everything you want to achieve in your weight class.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know who's in his ear advising him, but if the other British boxing public are like me, they're going to get turned off by him because time after time he's fighting these mediocre fighters. Don't jump in with Ebenezer because he's not a ticket seller and then fight some American who wouldn't have sold 10 tickets over here. You just don't stack up. So I think it's a bad decision to be if this fight goes ahead. I'd probably still watch it all said and done because that's what you do, isn't it? But whoever's advising Conor Benn, I know I'm right, I always am.
You're right, Carl. This is one of them fights where in a few years' time, when Eubank's ready to retire, he should then be wanting Conor Benn just like a last. It's a bit of a novelty, then, isn't it? Just a little bit like you've with Amir Khan. You know, it's not really for anything.
I think even his internet was giving up with his.
Jesus. So I think we all agree that it's a bit of a nonsense fight. Yeah, it feels a bit of a novelty fight, a bit of an exhibition type fight. That's how it feels, doesn't it? So last topic of the night. I'll put a little plug out there. This is my birthday, so the beers are on Matt when I see him in Nottingham. 10th of September, the all-women card on Boxer. Some excellent fights on this one. So, Sean, I'll let you take it away first. What are your thoughts on this and the fact that it's not pay-per-view, it's normal subscription? Surely boxing need a pat on the back.
Yeah, I think it's. And I mean, I fully expected it to be pay-per-view because when Taylor and Serrano was going to be on Sky pay-per-view, so all Eddie Hearn as well because obviously he's supplying Van Gardner for the Mayo fight on the undercard as well. So I know they're not working with promoters, but I think, you know, a hat for that. In terms of the fight, I think she probably stops her, and I think Van Gardner wins.
And there's also one other movement at the minute that Anna Rankin's going to be fighting Jonas. That's another possibility for the card. Now, if that lands on the card as well, it's shaping up, isn't it, to be a quality card. Who wins that one?
Talk about her and Rankin and fighting Terry Harper as well, isn't there? I think. But yeah, I think Rankin probably because I don't think it's weight.
Interesting. Matt, what are your takes on the card?
Firstly, somebody from Sky or Boxer is watching this channel because I called this a few weeks ago on this channel.
Here we go.
So
what,
you do it, mate. You do it. I'm just saying.
What you have to commission?
I put it out there. I think it's.
Was it an exclusive, Matt? Was it? Was it a Matt exclusive?
Yeah. Well, I know they're not as good as yours, but
you're right. But yeah,
I think I didn't realise until it was just going to be normal subscription to Sky Sports. If that's the case, then that's ace.
I can confirm that as an exclusive.
I presumed it was going to be pay-per-view, and I'd have been willing to pay for it to support it as well, because I think it's a great card. I think I was pleasantly surprised to see that Michaela Mayer Bergermauer fight on the card. I think it says a lot that fight is happening in the UK. I think it's more appealing in the UK than it is to American fight fans. I think that fight will be very well received, and I don't know what the O2 is being set up for, because obviously you can just after the lower tier, they can do the upper tier as well to make it the full sort of 80,000 as Clarissa Shields has said. But yeah, I think it's excellent, and if you get Jonas Rankin on the card, I actually think Jonas wins that one, if that happens. But no, they'll obviously have the Olympic, Arting Saul and forgive me, I can't remember the name, a partner. So
Price.
They'll obviously be on there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I think it's shaping up really well. Yeah, I like it a lot.
I think Ben Shalom's expecting that arena to sell out. He's talking about different eyeballs being on that night and introducing new people to boxing. So I think they'll fancy selling it out, Matt, to be honest.
Yeah. Good on him as well.
So fingers crossed, and fingers crossed your internet holds up. So what are your views on September the 10th and the all-female card? It doesn't look good. Or he's striking a pose, one or the other. So I think this can only be good for boxing. I think boxers are really pulling out the stops at the minute, aren't they? With the Dalton Smith work they're doing as well, and taking fighters around the UK. Hats off to Ben Shalom. And I think Sky's starting to get back to where they were, aren't they? You got Liam Smith coming back onto the platform as well. So I think I've been critical of Ben Shalom in the past, but I think he's starting to make good strides in the sport. So let's try Andy again. Andy, 10th of September, go.
Virgin Media are getting a kick in after this show.
Other brands are available.
Absolutely outstanding, mate.
Sorry, Andy, I've got to jump in. Andy, Joe says Andy's Wi-Fi is more shot than Chisora versus Pulev.
That's quality, mate. Yeah, good plug to Virgin Media. Well done, lads.
Anyway, 10th of September.
Yeah, it's outstanding, mate. It's outstanding. The fact that you've got Marshall against Shields, undisputed middleweight, is that on itself is a pay-per-view fight. And then you've got Mayer against Baumgartner in another undisputed fight on the same card. It's just ridiculous. And now we're talking this potential that Jonas Rankin. is on for a unification. It's ridiculous. You don't get this. You don't get this level of card on any male card. It doesn't happen. Absolute props.
They obviously chose a date because it's my birthday as well. So, you know, thank you, Ben Shalom, for that. Thank you for the birthday present.
Absolute props to Boxer and Ben Shalom. I know that you've been a little bit critical on and what he does. You can't be critical of this, mate. It's ridiculously good.
Credit where it's due.
And props to the fighters. Props to the fighters for coming over here. You've got 3 American fighters fighting in the UK for undisputed fights. It just goes to show you that UK is the place to be for female fighting.
Well, I've said it before, not just for female fighting. The American fighters often come over and comment on the atmosphere, don't they? They just don't get it in America, you know. So I think yes, we're trailblazers for female fighters, but I think the Americans generally like coming over anyway. Terence Crawford commented on it before. I just think we build a special atmosphere, don't we, in the UK?
Yeah, very much so. I think, you know, I watched a little bit of the press conference and seeing Clarissa Shields getting all insecure and saying about what arenas she'd sold out, etc. Like, she wouldn't be here. Firstly, what I will say, fair play to her, because, you know, she's travelled. She's obviously being paid what she wanted, which, you know, Eddie Herman, of Sky, was saying it was too much. I think, but it says a lot that she's, with the greatest of respect, she's promoted by Dimitri Salita.
Yeah.
Who doesn't promote, I can't name any other fighter that he promotes of note. If she was as special as she believes, if we was to believe how she speaks of herself, she should be a much bigger star than she is. I don't know how well she's sort of viewed in the States, sort of thing. It'd be interesting to get some American sort of fans, sort of like, you know, but she's not a big name. And the fact that she's, you know, she's had to come over here, it shows. It says a lot. It does.
Well, I think Shields seemed. I think she seemed agitated. I think Marshall. Yeah. I think Marshall's living in her head rent free. I really do, because she was very spiky, wasn't she?
Yeah, she seems incredibly insecure for somebody who's the greatest woman of all time. I agree that Marshall wins. I think Marshall stops her, but she can't be too. She can't start the fight too slow. She's got to be very. She's got to be very. Take centre of the ring, get on the front foot, not let Shields get away with, you know, clusters of punches and stuff like that, because 10 2-minute rounds, it can get away from you quite quickly. So
you can. So predictions time then. I know you've alluded to Marshall winning, Matt, but when do you think it happens? What round?
Between 6 and 8.
Oh, here we go. You know when I said when I said which round?
All right, first 30 seconds around 6.
Oh, I like that. Sean, talk some sense to me. Just give me a prediction of the round, Sean. You're normally good for concise, clear predictions. Before we move on to Andy, who give us God knows what time we'll be here till.
Round 3.
Who? Marshall?
Yeah.
And
so Clarissa Shields is going to be on a bike for as many rounds as she can get away with it, but Marshall will catch up with her, and it'll be all done, mate. As soon as it'll be done. Shields is living on this enigma of what she's done in amateur boxing. She came into female professional boxing when there wasn't the class there is now. Marshall does a number. There's no two ways about it.
So we'll get there in a minute. So what round are we saying?
Okay, sorry.
His internet's not going to hold up, is it?
Round 8.
Yeah, round 8. Okay, we just got that under. Okay, I'm going for round 7. Marshall KO. I think they'll dance around for a few rounds, feel each other out. But like Andy says, once Marshall lands, I know Chris Shields saying you're not a puncher, you're not a puncher. That was reverse psychology for me. I think Shields knows she can bang. So I'm going round 7. So that's it for this week's show. So Matthew, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure as always. Sean, thank you for joining us. I'd thank Andy, but he's striking a pose. Joe in the sideboard quickly. Marshall will need to win by KO. She's not active enough to win on points. Round 9 KO Marshall. Cheers for your comments, Joe. Thank you to everyone in the sidebar. Back to Thursday night next week, 7 p.m. Thank you all for contributing. See you next week. Cheers, lads.